I'm now a woman. Mother come or didn't the mother come? Some math in my head, don't ask me. Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Neha and I make videos related to books, and welcome to the bi-monthly wrap-up video. I feel like last year I was really good with wrap-up videos, I think until the second half, and then I kind of fell off the wagon. This year I intend to start them again, but I couldn't do each month. I had to club Jan and Feb. But here's to trying. Here's to trying to film more wrap-up videos, because I genuinely like making them and watching them, and I like rewatching my own videos as well to recall what I thought about a particular book at that particular time. So yeah, that's enough of a disclaimer. So basically in this video we're going to cover 2 months, January and February obviously. I read a total of 12 books, which is keeping up with my goal. My goal is 60, so I'm actually at pace with that. There have been rereads, especially in the month of January, because it was a tumultuous month for me. I turned 30. I'm now a woman. It was a milestone birthday, and it led to a lot of feelings and a lot of introspection from my end, and little lesser reading of new books, so I tended to reread some comfort reads, which I'll get to. But yeah, overall I read 7 books in January and 5 books in February, and let's start recapping each of them. I don't want to go into too much detail because then this video would be a very long. I have made shorts on each of the favorite books of that month, so which I'll link up above. I will not be yapping more about those books, but the aim of this video is to be a concise summary of what I read and what I enjoyed about a particular book. So yeah, enough of a disclaimer, let's move on. Let's start with January first. The very first book that I read this year is The Benevolent Society of Ill-Mannered Ladies by Alison Goodman. This is a Regency era book, and we follow 2 spinster sisters. Both of them are their late 30s to mid 40s, so basically sisters who kind of go against the convention of the Victorian era by not marrying, and they inadvertently become this society or a group that help troubled women. They help them from lots of sticky situations, be it from brothels, be it from murdering husbands, be it from abusive relationships, and that's the plot line of the book. And the sisters' relationship forms the main kind of narration point for the entire book. I liked the plot. The plot was very intriguing for me, and that's why I picked it up. But I think the characters were not sketched well, and they didn't endear themselves to me. And I don't think, I almost never like such books when I don't associate or fall in love with any of the characters. So that stayed true for this as well. I gave 3.5 stars for this book, and I don't think I'll be returning to the series. So yeah. Book 2 was my favorite book for the month, Orbital by Samantha Harvey, the winner of the Booker Prize last year. I already have a shorts, like I mentioned, which I'll link up about right now. Please go check it out. But this is set on the International Space Station, and we follow astronauts as they do their orbit of 24 hours over the Earth. And it's basically about their ruminations on Earth, life on Earth, human beings and their impact on Earth. And it was just a beautiful perspective, very thought-provoking and very, very beautifully written. I absolutely love this. I think you should check it out, and check out my shorts as well, you know. Then I finished a book on audio actually. This is Rosarita by Anita Desai. This is a meandering book about an Indian woman who goes to Mexico to learn the language, and over there they discover, does she or does she not discover, it's left a little vague, that her mother may or may not have had a secret life. Her mother may or may not have traveled to the same city to learn art. I tried reading this, I just could not get into the writing style as much, but I could get into it in audio, and it is a short read. I was listening very interestedly to understand the central mystery of this book, which promised this ties between trains and partition and how art inspires revolution across the world. But unfortunately, did or didn't the mother come to this city was just so vague that the main mystery was never really answered, and I was just left wanting more in this book. I wanted to understand the main mystery I was promised, but I never was, so that way it was a bit of a letdown. I just came out with a lot more questions than answers, and that's never the right headspace to leave a book with. So I actually gave this book 3 stars out of 5 because it had some beautiful sentences, but yeah, probably not for me. Then started my rereading phase in January. I reread the entire Emma Harte series by Barbara Taylor Bradford. I think this is 7-8 books in the series, but I actually am only counting like 3 books for the purposes of my read books for this month. I have a story with this series. I first came across them in those by the kilo bookstores, thrift stores that you find in India. And I grew up in Hyderabad, so I bought few books there and I've read them voraciously. I just love the details of rich people and like this, you know, the English life that they live. I just love those smaller details and I just kept reading them, and I still do read them on my phone when I'm doing like non-reader things, like, you know, I'm waiting for lunch or I'm waiting for an appointment, etc, etc. The series is basically about an English family business dynasty. It is started by Emma Harte, who rises from rags to riches. She was a maid in an English lord's house, and she gets accidentally pregnant by the lord's son, and she runs away, becomes a single mother, and she also founds this business retail chain called Harte's, and she becomes like one of the richest women in the world, and her family's, you know, set up for generations, and it's all because of her sheer will and tenacity. The characters are actually very monotone in this series, and they get very, very repetitive as the series goes, and the sentences also get repetitive. I don't know why I keep reading them, but I guess we are all allowed our guilty pleasures, right? So this series is one of them. So I'm counting 3 of these books for my read list for January to be the best: Emma's Secret and Just Rewards, but there are many, which I'll pop up the pictures here, which I've read them all, but I'm not counting. Some math in my head, don't ask me, I'm just counting 3. So yeah. And then the last book is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I already have a reading vlog for this, which I will link here. Please check it out. I also saw Coldplay in that vlog, which is fun. This is set in New York. We follow Cleo and Frank. They are a couple who get married in a kind of like a fast way, and it's a story about addiction. It's about love. It answers the question whether love is enough to battle other real life things, and it's set against New York, and the setting is beautiful, and I just fell in love with the character of Cleo, and I was just reading for her. More thoughts in the vlog, please check it out. But yeah, on to February, like I mentioned, I read 5 books, and the first one is a non-fiction book. I already have a shorts on this. How to Say Babylon by Sophia Sinclair. This was my favorite book for the month, and this is a memoir. We follow the author who grows up in Jamaica under a very strict Rastafarian father, and he has all kinds of rules for her and her sisters. And the book is basically about her journey into becoming one of Jamaica's most famous women poets, and how she used writing as an escape from her life. Loved it. There's nothing better than a visceral, hard-hitting memoir when it's done well, and when it's a poet writing the book, it is absolutely magical and beautiful. Loved it. Full of facts, full of history. Must read. Check out my shorts for more information on this book. Then an ebook, a series, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is a very, very well-known book on the internet, and I picked it up because I think the latest book released last year, and it was on top of everybody's best of 2024 list, and I started with book 1 this year. This is the story of Alexis and Daniel, right? Daniel, yes. Alexis is kind of the black sheep of her legacy doctor family because she's an ER doctor and not a surgeon, and one day her car gets stuck in a small town, and she meets Daniel, who is basically like the town's mayor, do-gooder, charming boy next door. Sparks fly, but both of their lives are very, very different, and the book is kind of about how they navigate this, and do they even get together. I fell into the hype, and I actually don't regret it for once, because I genuinely liked the storyline of this book, and I felt like it was not too sweet and cutesy, and it was not like these problems manufactured by romance books which really don't exist in the real world. I felt like this was very much rooted in reality, and it was not either all sunshine and it was neither all doom. It maintained a healthy balance, and that's why I liked it. Probably going to return to this series, which is high praise for me. So yeah, really liked it. Do check it out if you're in the mood for a good romance book. Then a physical book that I ended up listening on audio. This is Headshot by Rita Bullwinkle. This apparently is longlisted for the Booker. This is set during like a girls boxing match, and we follow 8 girls during their knockout stages, their semis and their final, where one girl eventually wins. So you are in the head of each of these girls during the matches. So each chapter is each of the matches, and you are in the head of the girls. You get to see their past and how they got there, what their thoughts are while they're fighting, and glimpses of what they'll end up in the future. I could not read this in physical form because I felt like it was too disjointed, and I just could not keep the girls straight in my head. Like I couldn't figure out which name is whose history is whose. But it's much better in audiobook because the audio narrator does a good job with all the voices, so I could keep them all straight. I liked it, but I felt a little disjointed still during the audiobook, which is never a great time, mainly because you're in the girls' heads, right? So every athlete knows that you can't keep your thoughts straight when you're in a match. This is the same. So I liked it. I didn't love it, so I gave it like 3.5 stars out of 5, but it's a good concept. Let's leave it like that. And it's a good audiobook for long walks and long chores and things like that. So yeah. Then I finished Wild Houses by Colin Barrett. Again, a Booker longlisted book. It was unintentional. But basically, this is set in a small town in Ireland where we follow Dev, who's reclusive, who has major social anxiety, but he can't help but go along with his cousins, who work in like one of the mob families. One day they end up at his doorstep and they've kidnapped the brother of the opposing faction's leader, essentially. So this brother is like a young kid who ends up at Dev's house, and the story is about how this changes Dev and how Dev is uncomfortable but can't really speak up, and so on and so forth. I really enjoyed this book. I finished this in 2 days, I think, because I could not stop reading. It had all the grit, but it had a lot of softness. It had a lot of vulnerabilities, because we get to see the kid who's kidnapped, whose name is Doll. You see the perspective of his girlfriend as well, whose name is Nikki. She's someone who just wants to escape from the small town, but she has really deep ties to Doll and his family, and even to the town, and she just feels conflicted, and she's confused about where has Doll gone, and so on and so forth. So I really like Nikki as a character, and I just feel like this book tied the story together very, very beautifully. I could feel the sense of danger lurking, but it's not like, something extraordinary. It's just small things which could eventually blow up someone's life. I actually really, really like this book. I've forgotten how much I like this book until I started talking about this. So yeah, definitely recommend. Please check it out. I think 4 stars out of 5. Last book for Feb and for this video is Welcome to the Hunam Dong Bookshop by Huang Bo Ryung, translated by Shanna Tan. As the boarding pass suggests, I bought this at the airport. My flight got delayed, and this book just called out to me for a reason which I hope you will know later on. But I started reading this in the flight, and I really enjoyed while I was reading it in the flight. But after that, I didn't really enjoy it as much. This is basically about Youngju. She blows up her life one day. She walks out of her marriage, out of her job, and she starts a bookshop just because she wants to feel that joy that she felt when she was in her teenagers and she was reading books. And growing up, she kind of lost it, so she starts the bookshop again. So it's about her and this cast that joins her in running the bookshop, her regular patrons, and how they all their lives are impacted with books and this bookshop. It got really long in the middle. There are all these various cuts which are taken about life, about work, about burnout, and they just took away a lot from the main story which I really wanted, which is life in a bookshop. It just had too many cuts, and it also had that problem of Korean translated books that I am sure in the original language it was beautiful and poetic, but when it was translated to, it's a little too literal, and it does not have the same magic. It does not have that same impact. So that's what I felt in the second half of this book, unfortunately. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying all the references to this book. I kept a running list of all the books that this book referenced to, which is up on my Instagram. But yeah, I lost interest, and then I kind of had to force myself to finish it and speed read it, which is never a good idea. So yeah, I think 2.5 stars out of 5 for me, because I just feel disappointed. I was liking it, but then it kind of deviated off from me. So yeah. And yeah, those are all the books that I finished in Jan and Feb. March has also gone off to a flying start, which I'm happy about, hoping to keep that up. But that's it. That's for the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you very, very soon.